The grand ballroom of the Westbrook Country Club buzzed with excitement. Elite members of the business community mingled with employees of Harrison Manufacturing, all gathered to celebrate my father's retirement after 30 years as CEO. Crystal champagne flutes clinked as waiters circulated, serving drinks that probably cost more than what he paid his factory workers in a week. I adjusted my tailored Armani suit, watching from the shadows as Dad held court at the center of the room. Even at 65, James Harrison commanded attention. Silver hair perfectly coiffed, designer suit immaculate, that familiar look of superiority etched on his face. To 30 years of unprecedented growth, someone toasted. If only they knew that growth came at the expense of workers' pensions, cut benefits, and outsourced jobs. I'd spent the last 5 years tracking every decision, every cutback, every time he chose profit over people. Sarah. My brother Tom's voice carried across the room. I didn't think you'd show up. Still working at that consulting firm. I smiled, remembering the consulting firm cover story, the facade that had hidden my real work building Harrison Manufacturing's biggest competitor. Wouldn't miss Dad's big day, I replied smoothly. Mom appeared, air-kissing my cheek. Darling, you could have dressed up more. This is an important evening. I resisted the urge to tell her my simple outfit cost more than her monthly clothing allowance. The memory of that day 5 years ago surfaced, the day that set everything in motion. Dad, I've been thinking about joining the company, I'd said, standing in his mahogany-paneled office. I have some ideas about modernizing operations, improving worker conditions. He'd laughed, that dismissive sound I'd grown to hate. You run a business? Sweetheart, you'll never be more than an employee. Business requires a killer instinct like your brother has. But my MBA, my experience. From a state school? He'd sneered. This is a multi-million-dollar company, not some little boutique operation. Stick to what you're good at, following orders. That night I'd started planning. Every detail, every move, every piece of the puzzle that would lead to this moment. Ladies and gentlemen. The board chairman tapped his glass. Please take your seats. We have an important announcement about Harrison Manufacturing's future. The crowd settled into their chairs. I moved to my assigned seat, noting the irony of being placed at the far back, away from the important people. Dad took the stage, basking in the applause. 30 years, he began, his voice carrying that familiar authoritative tone. 30 years of building this company into what it stands for today: excellence, tradition, family values. I suppressed a snort. Family values. Right. As I stepped down, he continued, I'm proud to announce that Harrison Manufacturing will be entering a new era. We've accepted an acquisition offer that will take this company to even greater heights. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. This was news to most people. The deal had been kept strictly confidential. The board has unanimously approved the sale to Phoenix Industries, the chairman announced. And their CEO is here tonight to share their vision for Harrison's future. Dad beamed, clearly expecting his chosen successor, probably some golf buddy or country club crony, to take the stage. Please welcome the CEO of Phoenix Industries, the chairman continued, the visionary who built a billion-dollar empire in just 5 years. I stood straightening my jacket. Sarah Harrison. The silence that fell over the room was absolute. Dad's champagne glass slipped from his fingers, shattering on the stage. And I was just getting started. The click of my heels against the hardwood stage was deafening in the stunned silence. Dad stood frozen, his face cycling through shock, disbelief, and something I'd never seen before: fear. Thank you for that warm introduction, I began, my voice carrying clearly through the ballroom. Though I should correct one detail, Phoenix Industries is actually worth $4.2 billion as of this morning's market close. Tom jumped to his feet. This is impossible. Phoenix Industries is owned by SM Holdings, I finished for him. Which stands for Sarah Michelle, my middle name. Did none of you ever wonder why you couldn't find any photos of Phoenix's CEO? Why all meetings were conducted through representatives? I pulled up the first slide of my presentation, showing Phoenix's rapid expansion over the past 5 years. While you thought I was working at a consulting firm, I was building the most technologically advanced manufacturing operation in the industry. Dad finally found his voice. He can't, the board would never sell to me. I smiled. They already did. Unanimously. Your signature is even on the approval document, though you were too busy bragging about Tom's latest failure of a project to actually read what you were signing. The board chairman nodded confirmation as whispers erupted throughout the room. I clicked to the next slide, showing Harrison Manufacturing's declining profits alongside Phoenix's meteoric rise. Let's talk numbers, I continued. In the past 5 years, Harrison Manufacturing has lost 40% of its market share. Employee turnover has reached 70%. 3 pension funds are severely underfunded. And the company's technological infrastructure is about 15 years outdated. Dad's face reddened. Now see here. Meanwhile, I spoke over him. Phoenix Industries has become the industry leader in worker satisfaction, technological innovation, and sustainable manufacturing. Our profits are triple Harrison's with half the operating costs. I turned to address the gathered employees directly. I know many of you are worried about your jobs. Don't be. Unlike the previous leadership, I believe a company's greatest asset is its people. Clicking to the next slide, I outlined my plans. Effective immediately, all Harrison employees will receive salary adjustments to match Phoenix's pay scale, averaging a 40% increase. Full benefits will be restored. The pension funds will be fully funded within 90 days. A cheer erupted from the back of the room where the factory workers sat. Mom clutched her pearls, looking faint. This is corporate sabotage. Tom shouted. Dad, do something. Do what? I asked calmly. The deal is done. The papers are signed. Harrison Manufacturing is now a subsidiary of Phoenix Industries. I clicked to another slide showing the company's new organizational chart. Oh, and Tom? About your position as Vice President of Operations. That division no longer exists. Though we do have an opening in the mailroom if you'd like to learn how a business actually works. The color drained from my brother's face as security began collecting company badges from the now former executives. As for you, Dad, I turned to face him directly. I believe you once told me I'd never be more than an employee. Care to revise that statement? Dad gripped the podium, his knuckles white. You planned this, he snarled. All these years. 5 years, 2 months, and 13 days. I confirmed. Ever since you told me I didn't have what it takes. That I should stick to following orders. Remember that conversation, Dad? The room was silent now, watching our confrontation like a high-stakes tennis match. I built Phoenix from nothing, I continued. No family money, no connections, no shortcuts. Just intelligence, determination, and the motivation you gave me when you said I'd never succeed. Clicking to the next slide, I displayed a series of photographs. Here's what real leadership looks like. Phoenix's childcare centers for employees. Our technical training programs. Profit-sharing initiatives. Everything you claimed was too expensive or bad for business. Those programs will bankrupt the company. Dad protested. Really? I raised an eyebrow. Our profit margins are 40% higher than Harrison's. Turns out treating people well is good for business. But you'd know that if you'd ever actually visited the factory floor instead of hiding in your corner office. I turned to address the employees again. Starting Monday, every Harrison facility begins modernization. New equipment, better safety protocols, actual break rooms. And yes, the executive bathroom will now be available to all employees. Another cheer from the workers. The executives looked like they'd swallowed lemons. This is our legacy? Mom stood up, voice shrill. Everything your father built, handed over to a successful CEO? I finished. $1 billion business owner? Or were you going to say, just a girl? Tom jumped up again. The family shares. Dad still controls. Check again, I smiled. Phoenix has been buying Harrison stock through shell companies for years. We owned 48% before the board approved this sale. Now we own everything. I clicked to a final slide showing the company's new logo. Harrison Phoenix Manufacturing. A phoenix rising from old ashes, you might say. Dad finally snapped. You ungrateful little. Careful, Dad, I cut him off. Remember, I'm now in charge of your retirement package. Though it seems some of the funds are mysteriously underfunded. Just like the worker pensions you raided. The color drained from his face. But unlike you, I believe in fixing others' mistakes. I nodded to my assistant, who distributed envelopes to the retired workers in attendance. Inside you'll find checks covering every penny of pension funds you were owed, with interest. The room erupted in chaos as people opened their envelopes. Some elderly workers began crying, seeing their life savings restored. "You can't do this," Mom wailed. "Surely I can." And I did. I turned back to Dad. "You taught me an important lesson. Never be just an employee." So I became an owner instead. The owner. Security approached the stage. "Ms. Harrison, would you like us to escort the former executives out?" "No need," I smiled. "Dad should finish his retirement speech. Though he might want to update it, since he'll be retiring with considerably less than he planned." Walking to the edge of the stage, I addressed the room one final time. "Tomorrow begins a new era. Those who want to be part of it are welcome to stay. Those who prefer Dad's style of management, well, I hear the unemployment office opens at 9. I turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and Dad? The corner office needs to be cleared out by morning. I'm turning it into a daycare center." The sound of his spluttering followed me as I walked off stage. Outside, my driver held the door to my Rolls-Royce, the same model Dad always wanted but could never afford. "The workers' families are waiting at the factory," my assistant reminded me, "for the celebration dinner." "Perfect," I nodded. "After all, they're the ones who really built this company. They deserve to celebrate its rebirth." As we drove away, I watched in the rearview mirror as Dad stood alone on the country club steps, finally facing the reality that his employee daughter now owned everything he'd spent his life building. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just proving someone wrong. It's proving yourself right. And doing it from their corner office. The next morning, I arrived at Harrison Phoenix headquarters at 6 a.m., just as the first shift workers were clocking in. Their faces showed surprise at seeing the new CEO walking through the factory floor, but I'd learned long ago that real leadership starts at ground level. "Ms. Harrison?" A weathered man in his 60s approached. "I'm Frank Martinez. Worked here 30 years. The head machinist," I nodded. "Your modification to the Line 3 assembly saved the company millions, but my father took credit for it in 2019. His eyes widened. "You know about that?" "I know everything, Mr. Martinez, including how Dad denied your promotion 5 times because you didn't fit the executive image." I handed him an envelope. "Your new position as Director of Manufacturing Innovation starts today, along with back pay for all those innovations they stole." Word spread quickly through the factory. As I walked the floor, more stories emerged. Maria Chin, denied maternity leave, now appointed head of employee welfare. James Wilson, whose safety improvement suggestions were ignored, promoted to safety operations director. Linda Thompson passed over from management because she was too old, now senior production supervisor. By 8 a.m., when the executive staff usually arrived, the factory was humming with new energy. But the executive parking lot remained empty, except for one car. Tom stood by his BMW, looking lost without his usual expensive suit. "Sir, please. We can talk about this. Like you talked to the workers you fired last Christmas? To make your bonus numbers look better." He paled. "How did you? Those workers? All rehired. With back pay." I checked my watch. "You're late for orientation, by the way. Mailroom starts at 7:30. You can't expect me to actually work in the mailroom." "No." I smiled. "Then there's the door. Though you might want to check your bank account first. The board's fraud investigation froze all executive assets this morning." As if on cue, his phone buzzed. His face went white as he read the message. "That's right," I nodded. "Every unauthorized bonus, every padded expense account, every ghost employee whose salary went to your gambling debts, all being reviewed by forensic accountants. Dad will never let. Dad can't help you. He's got his own problems." Right then, Mom's Mercedes screeched into the lot. She jumped out, waving papers. "Sir, they've frozen our accounts. Even my personal shopping allowance." Interesting term, allowance, I mused, since it came from underfunded worker pensions. "But don't worry, your new budget counselor starts today. I hear Walmart has some reasonable clothing options." "How dare you," she hissed. "After everything Everything you what, Mom? Denied me, mocked me, dismissed me." I stepped closer. Or did you mean everything you stole from people who actually worked for a living? Security approached. Ms. Harrison, the FBI agents are here for the financial records. Perfect timing. I turned back to my family. Tom, you have 30 minutes to decide. Mailroom or unemployment. Mom, the budget counselor meets you at 9. As for Dad, a commotion at the entrance drew our attention. Dad was arguing with security, his face purple with rage. Office. I demand to clear out my office. Former office, I corrected, walking over. Though it's a bit late. We cleared it last night. Found some interesting hidden files. His face went from purple to ashen. You had no right. Actually, I had every right. Along with a court order. I held up a document. The investigators were particularly interested in those offshore accounts. And the shell companies. And the buried safety violations. You destroy your own family? He whispered. No, Dad. You did that years ago. I'm just exposing the truth. I nodded to security. The FBI will want to speak with him. As they led him away, I addressed the gathering crowd of workers. The old Harrison manufacturing died yesterday. Today we build something new. Something honest. Those who want to be part of it, welcome aboard. Those who don't. I glanced at my shell-shocked family. Better learn to live on minimum wage. Turning to enter MY building, I paused. When Mom? Those country club memberships you love so much? I bought the club this morning. Your membership has been discontinued. Her wail echoed through the parking lot as I walked away, ready to start the first real day of MY Company. Because sometimes justice isn't just about taking control. It's about giving it back to those who earned it. One promotion at a time.